Welcome back everybody to episode 9 of my Wolfram Park series on Planet Coaster. In this video I'm going to be working more on the Venice area, getting the end of this long restaurant building I was working on finished, and also a few other random things. Later in the video I'll be going back and working on the 360 power coaster I built at the front of the park, and I basically just wanted to go back and create a transfer track and also sort of make the end of the roller coaster look a little nicer. The block break section that I had created needed some work to sort of make it a little more realistic, and I really wanted to go back and sort of work on that, so that'll come up in a little while in the video. And then at the end I'll come back to the Venice section, and it's actually about 2 weeks after what you're seeing here at the beginning of the video. But I started working on the Royal Gardens in Venice that are just behind this building I'm working on now towards San Marco Square. And I actually ended up putting the Venetian carousel in there, and I think it turned out extremely well. I probably should go back and remove all of the small, the ivy bush prop that I use sort of to get a ground texture for the gardens. I should probably go back and actually remove all of those and just bring the ground up and level it off, just so there's not so much of a frame rate hit from all of the individual bushes. But like most of the things I've said I should go back and fix, I probably won't get around to it, or if I do, it will be off screen because it's just not very interesting to watch. Now what you've been watching me play with here is the end of this restaurant building. It actually took me quite a while to figure out how I wanted to do the outside facade. I played around with a lot of different techniques and the different building items we have available, looking at a lot of reference photos, that type of thing. I ended up settling on sort of this brick look with the sunken doors that I really like for the Venice area, and then adding a bunch of windows with balconies. It's not extremely interesting or detailed to look at, but it just fits some of the reference photos I was looking at. You normally don't see a lot of brick buildings in Venice. However, that's just because there's the white plaster that's over the brick foundations. But some of the buildings where the plaster has come off will have sort of the brick exposed on their lower levels. And since we only have this sort of bright orange brick texture, I just used it, but I'm not going to use it hardly at all in this section of the park just because it doesn't fit very well. But I do want to use it at least a little bit just to give some difference in the building facades. I may even play around with some of the stone texture items that we have over top of the brick walls, and see if I can get something that looks like fleeking off plaster, revealing the brick beneath. I have quite a few more buildings I need to build in this area, so I'll probably be playing around with that idea some in the future. As you can probably tell, I've really been embracing the copy-paste feature. It just makes things a lot easier, and because the Venetian buildings are very similar to each other, and there's really not any variance on the different sides of the buildings, I can really use the copy-paste feature here to its full extent. I really only have to make one side of the facade, and then I can just copy and paste it to the other sides of the building. I do make some small changes to the other sides just to try and make them look a little less copy-pasted and a little less bland. But nothing major, and it just saves me a lot of time. I'll also be using it to copy and paste some of the buildings I've already made, just because, again, the buildings are extremely similar in Venice, so I can get away with that as long as they're not too close to each other. It's mainly just going to save me a lot of time, and I also don't have to design every single building to be different than all of the others, which could get pretty tedious and pretty hard to do with the limited items that we have and the limited look of Venetian buildings. This same design philosophy is also going to apply to the German area I've been working on. A lot of the buildings there are very similar and can be copied around without the area looking bad. The German area is actually coming along really well, and I'm really loving how it's looking. I've sort of got a beer house, beer garden area, and then I also have a little clock tower, and it really looks exactly like a small German like mountain village, and it's got some really nice facades that I've been working on. Now I kind of realize I've been rambling a bit, and I should probably talk about what I'm building here. So I had this idea that hopefully in the future, when we have more transportation rides, that they're going to add a chairlift like in the old RTC games. I honestly really love the chairlifts for elevation changes and sort of elevation-based maps. So because the German area is going to be up on the roof of my dark ride, it's actually got a pretty steep hill that people would have to climb up. So I decided I should try and put in this faux chairlift that could act as a spacer for hopefully a future chairlift that gets put into the game. It took me a little while to figure out sort of the placement for the platforms and how they might work. But yeah, you can see I just used the inverted coaster platform chopped down to the smallest size I can make it. And I put it in this building down in the Venetian area. And there'll be a accompanying building up in the German area. And people will be able to get on and off at these two stations to ride up and down the hill pretty quickly. And just avoid the pretty steep incline. I just realized I said RTC games when I meant to say RCT, obviously. So just continue to ignore the fact that I can't think or talk properly. Okay, so as I said near the beginning of this video, I wanted to come back to the front of the park and work on this 360 power coaster some more. I really wanted to add a small transfer track and storage shed for an extra car. And I also wanted to sort of integrate the block brake section into this building so that people could come down off the ride if it ever got stuck there for some reason. Currently, I just had these little wood ladders leading up to a platform around the block brakes. But with this building, I'm going to build a pathway up to it. That way people can get down without having to climb down these rickety little ladders. I also wanted to come back and use a technique that I had seen on the Planet Coaster forum and Reddit. Basically, you just take the sand texture, put it on a low intensity, and put it down underneath where the tracks go. And if you have some of these little buildings like I'm doing now, it just sort of makes it look a little more realistic, like the grass is dried out or worn down a little bit just from having the track above it, so it doesn't get as much sunlight or water or what have you. I think it actually adds a lot of character and realism to the rides, and it just makes the area look better because it adds some different textures to the ground. Now, with this transfer building, I definitely wanted to keep it in the same design style as the rest of the front of the park. So it's going to have this angular roof with the blue tiling and concrete floors. And it's also using these new black upright supports. It actually looks pretty nice, and it turned out pretty well in the end. But yeah, you can see where I put in this little platform and then the stairs going down and how it connects to the sort of black path I've been using for all of the staff areas, which wraps around the building and then up to the main path area. There's going to be some real-time footage here just showing off what I've done. Before I forget, I do want to say that the hammer swing ride that I put in earlier, I went back and changed the path that's near it. So I had a 8 wide path going from the center piece of the park around the front side of the hammer swing, going right along the water feature area, and then connecting over to the path that leads to the German area and the Rialto Bridge. So basically I took out that wide path, put in a 4 wide path, and then added a staff path that is hidden with a bunch of vegetation around the front side of the hammer swing. Basically it matches up with the area where the staff pathing was coming out from behind the secondary souvenir shop that I built way back, I think in episode 2. Basically, it's just a small area where the staff would cross the main guest path and then be hidden again, going around the hammer swing towards the centerpiece of the park, the World Pavilion. So it kind of acts as a little hidden walkway for, like, basically in my mind, for the food handlers and garbage people to get from the staff area at the front of the park all the way to the food stalls in the World Pavilion without being seen by guests. I don't actually have any video of that, so it's a little hard to explain, but I'll probably take some shots of it for the next episode just to show what I'm explaining. So now we've made it to the Royal Gardens that I'm working on. I was actually looking at a Google Earth view of the gardens just to get an idea sort of how stuff was laid out. There's a number of small paths that kind of go around, but the 4 wide path is the smallest we have, and it takes up quite a bit of space. So I just had to sort of wing it. And like I said earlier in the video, I used a whole bunch of that, I don't even know what it's called, the like moss prop or whatever, to simulate grass. And yeah, there's way too many of them, and I lost like another 5 FPS or something. So I probably should try to go back and get rid of the majority of it and bring the land up that I had sort of pushed away when I was making the canals, just to try and get some of that FPS back, because I don't know how well my POV coaster shots are going to be coming out in the future, just because I've lost quite a bit of FPS on stuff like this. I've got some real-time shots coming up here using the TegidCam cheat from this alpha, and it just sort of has me walking around in the Royal Gardens and showing off the Venetian carousel. Man, I am really liking the Venetian carousel. I am really hoping we get like 2 or 3 different melodies out of it, and it just brings back some really good memories of the good old carousel and playing RCT way back in the day. You know, I am really liking what Frontier has done. They've really been, you know, open with the community. They have taken suggestions and put them into the game actually pretty rapidly. And they're open with the community. They engage with us on the forums. They enjoy and actually view all of our community creations. Well, maybe not all of them, but all of the good ones. And they're just such a great company. This is not just a spiritual successor to the old RCT games, but it's a practical one. Unlike the current RCT world, which just looks awful still, and has been delayed and delayed and delayed and may never, well, it will come out, but it's just not going to be playable. This is here, this is coming out this year, and it's great. I mean, just look at how nice this carousel is. And we're still in Alpha 2. I can't say enough nice things about this company or this game. I cannot wait to see where they take us in the future, and I can't wait to see what this game is like when it's finished. We're getting near the end of the episode, and I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that's been watching, commenting, liking, subscribing, everything on this channel and with my videos. I really didn't know how this was going to go over when I started, so I just really want to thank everyone that's been watching my videos, and especially when you like and comment and subscribe, because it just shows that there is an interest in my videos and people enjoy watching them. Even if you maybe don't enjoy listening to me talk, it's nice to know that you at least enjoy what you see. Well, that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. So if you liked it, hit that like button, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And hopefully I will see all of you in the next video.